For some context, when Al arrived in New York, the Great Depression was in full effect. Growing up during this time would have a major impact on Al's life and would eventually shape him into the man he would later become.
Now, we came in 1936. Depression was still here. There's nothing to be had here. So we came. It's my mother, my brother Ralph, his name was Ralph, next to me, and me. So we came. The first thing they'd done in Naples when we boarded the ship in Naples, they shaved me. I mean, my head, boy, I was 14 years old, almost 14. So they were afraid, I guess, maybe lice or something with a kid, you know. So hair comes off, complete, bald, egg. My brother didn't touch me. He was 3 years older than me. He was 17. They didn't touch him. So I came over and just, but I didn't like that, but they did it anyway. You couldn't stop it. If you want to board the ship, that's it. So we came here, and life starts, another life here in the United States, a different life, a horrible life. We thought everything was nice over here, you know, everything just great, you know, people happy and stuff like that. Coming over here, we landed. My father came over there, they took a cab, and we went where we lived. They lived in an apartment. The apartment had running water, no gas, and the electric had wires exposed because it was an old building, old building. Wires exposed all over. There was little lamps that you could barely see. But although we had no electricity where we came from, this you could barely see. So we had three rooms, the kitchen and 2 bedrooms. Now, going back the way we grew up in Italy, we slept, all 4 of us, in one bed. We had a mattress full of straw. We had to replace it every morning because 4 boys are sleeping in it. We trashed it. We had to refill it again. So we were used to sleep 4 in a bed. Come to the United States, 4 in a bed, and my mom and dad slept in the front room, separate. Over here in New York City, landed in New York City, the biggest city in the United States. A lot of people, you couldn't get out. We didn't know the language. We didn't know our way around. Like we were in jail. Me, my brother, and my mother. My brothers that came before us and my father, they were used to it. But us, it's just like you take them out in the open and you lock them up. Me, my brother, and my mother used to go on the roof. There was a flat roof. We used to cry. We cried. We just wanted to go back. Finally, my mother gets a hold of my father and says, look, send me back. So my father got mad. He says, you stay. From now on, this is it. You get used to it, stay. And that's began life in New York City. So landed in New York. Over all this, the second week, my father called me and said, Al, you're going to go into business. I said, oh, me go into business, right? Oh, yeah. Next day, he went out and got a shoe shine box. He says, now you're on your own. You go out and shine shoes for people for money. I says, okay, all right. So he says, and whatever you make, you're on your own. I will not buy you clothes, shoes. But since you go to school, because they put me in the 6th grade, close by school, since you're going to school, we'll feed you, we'll shelter you, we'll not charge you anything. But the other brothers had to chip in, because they were working, $1 a week, $1 a day. So I says, but I don't know the language. The only international language that I knew was no. I didn't even know what yes meant. So, he said, the only thing you do is you say shine. And people will sit down and you shine their shoes. I said, well, that sounds okay, fine. So, get up early in the morning. This was summertime now, no school. Because we landed in April for them. So I go out, shine. That's all I knew. People would sit down, or shine their shoes. And at that time, charged 3 cents. 3 cents to shine a pair of shoes. Sometimes they didn't have change 3 cents. They give me a nickel. Now, mind you, things were tough. Not only for the immigrants, but for everybody. These people with the tie and suit like that, they'll give me a nickel and they wanted 2 cents back. There was no such thing as tip. Times were tough. Well, this goes on. I go to school. After school, I go shine. Go out in my box. And I used to do pretty good. Sometimes I used to make maybe 30 cents a day. Sometimes it'd be a quarter, maybe 25 cents, And I used to save it, and whatever I needed. I needed a shirt, or sometimes school supplies, because they didn't supply that much school supplies. And I used to buy it myself. So my father, he was right. I had to be on my own. If I needed a pair of shoes, that was it. They won't touch my money. My brothers, my family won't touch my money. This goes on throughout the summer and throughout the winter. I would go out in the winter time and get maybe, sometime I didn't even make 15 cents all day. 15 cents at the time, maybe a loaf of bread was 2 cents. So that was good, wasn't it? Now, I'm at school, right? Now, I didn't know the language. And I didn't have anyone that could interpret to me Italian into English, English to Italian. I have nobody. I'm on my own. It was just like you drop somebody in the woods and say you're on your own. A bunch of kids. Remember, I was 14. They should have put me in high school. They put me in 6th grade. It was little kids, right? Me, as frisky as I was, I won't take no nonsense. I didn't care who the hell it was. They set me over there, and right in front of me there was another boy. And he turns around, and I don't know whether he was asking for a razor or a pencil, but I thought he was making fun of me, see? I whack him over the head. Just no question asked. Boom. The teacher saw me. You, come. Got a chair. I had to sit right close to the desk over her by her. She would trust me over there because I hit the guy for nothing. I don't know what he wanted. I didn't understand. So what do? I hit him, right? Shut him up. So I'd done that for about 6 months. And I really wanted to learn that language. I needed so bad, like I needed bread. Anything that I got a hold of, I'd read books, I'd read newspapers, anything, funny books, and anything, comic books, anything that could really get this language started because I needed real bad. There was nobody to teach me. 6 months, that left me back. 14 years old. So I went on. Another 6 months over there, I was the first in the class. In language, in arithmetic, in spelling. and history. I see. I really dived in there so bad that I got a hold of it. In 6 months' time, in 1 year's time, I was able to handle myself real good in speaking and conversing with people. So if people over here today feel that it's pretty hard, it's not. It's hard if you don't want to get into it. But especially teenagers, especially kids, they learn fast. They learn fast. And the teacher was such, they couldn't understand it, being from Italy, not knowing one word of English whatsoever. And I improved so much, so fast, ahead of the other kids that were born over here. And everything except literature. I could not understand what the heck people were talking about in literature. Thou, thee, do. I said, what the heck? This is a different language. I couldn't understand it. That class, we used to change class. It bothered the heck out of me. I just didn't even want to go into that class. When we graduated, they gave me a C just to hype me up because I didn't want to know nothing about that. Shakespeare and poems. I know it means something when they talk. To me, it was another language. I've left one language, I've learned this language, now I got to go into another language. What am I with this thing? But I done well. So, going to high school. Well, if I had somebody that would guide me, I would have been a commercial school. Instead, they put me in a technical school. And I took auto mechanic, techno, which it would go into. It's not for a trade school. It was not a trade school, but a tech school. You learn technical about the motors and cars and stuff like that. So I like that. So that would advance into something else. But anyway, now, mind you, second year of high school, I was 18, 19, somewhere. And I had to register for the draft. They would draft people. Now, war broke out between the United States and Germany and Japan. And so they were drafting people. I said, my God, I said, here I am. I'm 18, 19. I said, I'm still at school. I said, I didn't go out. I didn't have no money, no nothing, because as soon as you go to school, I stopped going shining shoes because I was ashamed. So, So I quit school. I got a job in a machine shop. So I started making some money, and of course I got to know people over there. I had a girlfriend in there, but not even money to take her out and anything. I start out with $13 a week. $13 a week now in a machine shop. So you got a girlfriend, we're going to go to a movie. That's about all. Movies, real good movies in Times Square, New York, were $1.50. And not very many people used to go there. Those were first run movies. And I used to go to places where they had cowboys, Charlie Chaplin, and old people. I used to pay a dime, 10 cents. Well, I quit school and went to work. My big brother with a family, had a family and I had a child, moved to Detroit. And after that, my second brother moved to Detroit over there too. No, he went in the army. He was caught in the army. And so there was just me, my brother Rolf, which was above me, and my mother and my father. And so now we're by ourselves for about a year. And I start telling, we lived in an apartment. Years ago, they used to have elevated train in New York City. You heard that? Above ground, right? And let me tell you, the apartment that we had, I could reach over with the hand and touch the tracks. At night, you know, this not steady because the train runs steady over the back and forth. So you get used to it. You'd be surprised how you get used to it. Even with all that noise, you fall asleep. That apartment was so cheap. We got it cheap because nobody wanted a darn thing. So anyway, so we were left about a year and a half by myself, my mother, and my father. My father got hurt on the job, got some broken ribs. It seems that he fell or something fell on him, and he wasn't working. So I was the only one working. And he started to work at a restaurant that wasn't paid much. Of course, my mother never worked. So I was the only one. And I gave most of my pay to them because it's got to pay the rent, got utilities, stuff like that. And so I says, you know, this doesn't work for us. And the family, most of the families in Detroit, let's go. Let's move over there too. So my brother already bought a house in Detroit, a large house, many rooms. So he accommodated the whole family in his house. So we moved to Detroit. And I started working over there. Start working. And different places. I've worked with different construction company. Because that was available. I couldn't get into a steady job with, let's say, Ford or Chrysler or anybody like that, because they wanted you steady over there. And I couldn't get a job steady because could be any time that I would be drafted.